We just wrapped last week's podcast. We're still in the same clothes. We're not even going to stand up. I'm not even going to press pause because if you heard last week, we started the topic of identity and really about how our identity molds ourselves. And today, we're going to dive into the conflict that Dr. Glenn and Phyllis began to share on that podcast because we realized that not only can we lose identity in ourselves, but with each other and what that looks like. And you're going to be able to witness them start this conversation. It's going to start pretty abruptly because I'm just pressing play where we left off of tipping into that conflict. And you may feel some of the tension rise because as you know, as we're working through conflict, things sometimes get worse before they get better because we're uncovering stones. We're seeing what hits. So you're going to get to witness that flipping over of the stone to see where that breakthrough happens. And it is fascinating to see where the breakthrough does happen. We get to witness how identity plays a role in both Phyllis and Glenn. We started just thinking it was with Glenn. Nope, it was identity for both. And how different it can present, but still create both conflict, but now connection. Do you feel like you walked away from that conversation more connected?
Oh, yeah.
You can see each other differently now. I am so excited. I'm just going to be quiet. Let's dive in. Hi there, friends. Before we dive in, we want to let you know something important. While this podcast does feature a marriage and family therapist, we are not your therapist. This is a space for informational and educational purposes only. We're here to have a deep conversation over coffee. If you find yourself feeling stuck or overwhelmed, we encourage you to reach out to a trusted therapist, counselor, coach in your area who can give you personalized support you deserve. Because let's be real, life is way too hard to go at it alone, and your emotions are way too valuable to ignore. Okay, now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's get to the good stuff. Welcome to the Connection Codes podcast, where we help you go from disconnection and confusion to clarity, confidence, and connection. Whether it's in your marriage, your business, parenting, or just figuring out what's going on inside of you, we're here to help make emotions feel less overwhelming and way more useful. I'm your host, Tara Wages, mom of 4, CEO, speaker, and a big believer that emotions are not a problem to fix, but a tool to master. The Connection Codes are tools created by marriage and family therapist Dr. Glenn Hill and his incredible wife, Phyllis. They've helped thousands of people just like you experience real transformation. Let's get into it.
Well, I want to go back before we run out of time, before we do the core emotion wheel, all the things. I want to go back to our miss yesterday where you lost so much identity and, got to that place of just verbalizing over many times throughout the day that idea or that strong feeling, I'm a failure, I don't get enough done. And I missed with you over and over. How can you share how I missed with you over and over?
Well, you immediately resist my energy and tell me that I'm successful.
Keep going. I know there was a lot of misses yesterday.
No, but that's it. That's what it all boils down to. I think at one point I said to you, it would really help if you just oohed me. And that's really hard for you to do in those moments. It's much easier just to resist my energy and, point, counterpoint, which never works. Because the message that I'm receiving is from you. I didn't read it online or anything. That's where it started.
Yeah. Can we break this down a little more?
Yeah.
Do you want to speak into this?
Yep, I'm following you.
Okay. I mean, I just want to say from what happens for me, because there were outside source, there was a lot of pressure on you yesterday to get things done for our Europe trip, for filming for our School of Connection, for responding to some emails, and all the outside forces, I think this is fair to say, correct me if I'm wrong, have nothing to do with me. Yes? No?
Well, by definition, that would be true.
Okay.
But that's not the point of what happened.
Right. But there's outside pressure. There's outside deadlines that I don't create, that have nothing to do with me. It's other people who are asking for things. It's other people's things. The miss and the incredible pain for me, because the miss is very clear to me. Like the miss came when we got the information that, hey, I need you to read through these scripts and make sure they're ready for the next filming. And where I missed with you, I knew that those kinds of things bring a lot of pain to you. But I didn't acknowledge the pain. I didn't slow down and verbalize, oof, I know this is really big. This changes your day completely. This is so painful for you. I minimized it.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what caused the immediate, I would say we nosedived really quick in that moment and didn't recover until maybe right now. So it's that first few seconds. It's the miss in the first few seconds. Yeah. And there's such a huge loss of identity for you in those first few seconds. And then it happens almost like in a blink of an eye. And then I feel like we just got thrown overboard on a cruise ship and we're in the ocean, in the middle of the ocean, and we're both all of a sudden drowning. And I'm drowning too, because, oh my word, I'm like, none of these things all these deadlines have nothing to do with me. It's all outside, but I'm the one standing in the room with you. I'm the one who's I'm often the middleman in the work that we do. People communicate to me. They don't always communicate directly to you. So I'm the messenger often. Hey, this person needs this, or this email needs to be responded to. And I think, and part of why I want to just be very open about what happened for us yesterday, because I think a lot of our people that are listening are like, oh yeah, I can relate to that. Like it's that quick, within seconds, I missed in a big way by not acknowledging very quickly how painful this was going to be for you. And so then we nosedive. It's like we're both in the ocean. I'm experiencing, literally I can feel it. Like in the ocean, I'm panicked. Oh my gosh, I can see it. We're going down. And then I start backpedaling really quick. And all of that makes it worse because I go to logistics. I go to the quote unquote truth or something. Like in that moment, all of my next words make it worse. And then I actually ask, can we do a redo? And we actually played it out. We did a redo. But I think the damage had already been done, so the redo didn't help. And it just lasted. We weren't even together. I was gone most of the day. But I think in your spirit, it lasted all day. It lasted until last night when I got home.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think that part of my experience, what happens for me is there's so much pain in it that then I get lost in my own pain. Like I created the pain by not acknowledging how painful the getting scripts at the last minute and having to rewrite them all was for you. But then I get sucked under as well, because that's when I just want to crawl in a hole, because it's like, it's not the script this wasn't me. This wasn't my script. This wasn't my last minute throw this on you. I just didn't acknowledge the pain that you were experiencing. And then I think when you say things like, I'm such a failure, and it wasn't, I don't think you just said it like, I'm just such a failure, period. I think it's, you make it really clear, Phyllis, that I'm such a failure. And then it's more, I was coming up for air and I had a little glimpse of hope, and then that pushed me right back under. And then there's so much pain in it for me that I just start shutting down. Like, oh, this is so big. And I don't know how to get to the other side. I don't know how to swim to shore. Like, I'm still in the ocean drowning because there's so much pain. Because I do know the truth and I know you're not a failure. So I'm looking at truth going, oh my word, this is huge. How many people are like you that have done the work that you've done, that have built what you've built? And so I see the truth, but I'm drowning in your pain as well. So then I'm like, yeah, you want me to just ooh. And I thought, I don't think that was working today. Like I thought I was, but then I really wasn't. But I think the piece that it's like you lost so much identity in those few 60 seconds of both me conveying what had to be done, or, I think it came via email and a phone call. So it's like you getting that and then me not.
I don't lose any identity in that part, the first part.
Right.
That's just what's in front of us. That's just what we have to do.
Right. And I think that's what's really hard for me too, because it's all up to me. It was me that needed to respond with what you needed, which was an acknowledgement of how painful that is. But I missed on that. And so then it took us down.
But it's not the response. I'll let you do the quote, but you said something that...
I think I said something like, you don't have to rewrite the whole thing, which wasn't even true. Right. But the one little piece I read, which was something I was supposed to read, like I think there were 4 paragraphs, and I read the first 3, and they sounded like, yeah. And then the 4th one, it's where I was like, ooh, this is not worded like connection codes. So then I turned to you for that. But the first 3 that I read sounded right. And so I didn't realize the magnitude of what this project was going to take and do, because I only read 3 paragraphs that were my 3 paragraphs. So I made the statement, oh, you don't have to rewrite it all. In the end, that wasn't true. It all had to be rewritten. But that statement right there, you don't have to rewrite it all. Like in that second, it stripped you of your identity. And you felt like everything that we've shared, like it was so huge. And I think that's what a lot of couples deal with. Like these are real moments that I think where people get stuck. Like, I don't want to repeat that again. And so in my mind, I'm like, my options are like, yeah, my options are X, Y, and Z, and they are, like you even said, well, that's impossible because you're not going to get it. You're not going to be able to say it correctly next time. That's our history. So it's like there's not oh yeah, this will go better next time. It's more like, brace yourself, because I'm not going to say it right. Like I really genuinely thought, oh, it's not going to all have to be rewritten. I thought that was a truth statement, but actually that wasn't true. It did have to all be rewritten. But it was just so like spiraling, and it happens fast, and it goes really deep. I think that in some ways I want to share this because that's how big the loss of identity is and how damaging it is. There's just a lot of pain. And I think even last night going to bed, there was just still so much pain. And I know I was experiencing so much pain. And then I know Glenn was experiencing so much pain. But it was almost like we couldn't find each other in the pain.
Yeah. What I keep thinking through is one intense emotion
shuts down
cognition. And so what I'm hearing for both of you. We have a loss of identity with Dr. Glenn in that moment. I think you walked into the conversation, and I'm conjecturing, so you please correct me if I'm wrong. You walked into that conversation with intense emotion because of your history. Being the messenger is not easy. Like being the messenger and having to come to me and Glenn and Laurel and whoever is working on Europe stuff, all of these different people, and knowing the patterns of the 30 years you spent creating patterns with each other before this work began. You walk into it already like, I need to be right. I need to defend. Like, nope, it doesn't take much work. This will be fast, And I understand that your intention, which is why we say intentions don't matter. It's not about intention. It's because I think your intention was like, no, bud, like we can do that. You can do this. Like, I'm going to encourage you. And from a place of even fear of, there's already intense emotion. So in thinking through last night, like that y'all couldn't see each other, it's because you're both flooded with so much emotion. And that's what happens. We get stuck in those spirals of so much emotion. I think my fear for our listeners, because I hear your pain in what was my option? And then I've sensed emotion from you. You don't feel like you had an option because you ended up saying X, Y, Z. That's not an option. Nobody that's listening can apply X, Y, Z. And I have fear that it sounds like you didn't have an option in that moment. So I would be curious if we could slow it down to get back to that root first moment of what could have played out differently. Because there has to be hope in it. We can't just not have an option of what to do better next time. And so, Dr. Glenn, one of the things that you always say is, what was the very first unprocessed emotion? The very first one.
For the couple?
For you. Because you were the one, unless you walked into it and you could acknowledge that you had fear walking into it, to be like, having some fear, we just got this script. But something happened for one of y'all first that was not conveyed. And I think that is actually where the miss happened. So what was your first unprocessed emotion, Phyllis, if you can think of it? Glenn, what was your first unprocessed emotion, if you could think of it? I'm curious.
Well, what we talked about, and I don't know that this is definite now, but what we talked about is she goes into it feeling so much fear. I think it's pain, fear, and then guilt. And then when she says what she says, there's shame for me because I'm aware that this is going to take hours. I already had my day lined up. I had lots of stuff planned, didn't get to any of it. I'm aware that this is going to be a lot. And what I hear from her is that, you don't have to do every word. Well, I know that I do. First of all, I have to check every word. That's just my role. That's my responsibility there. And once I check it, I know there's going to be a lot of changes. And again, we have a long history of that where her perspective is, this is simple. Just, snap, snap, snap. Just do that. Again, that's what I experienced from her. Whereas I'm going, what? No, this is a big deal. This is not just an easy, quick fix. So then there's a lot of shame for me. There's hurt in it. I can't tell if it's probably hurt. I don't know if the shame happens first and the hurt. I'm not sure. But there's hurt and shame. But what we concluded, I thought, was that she's already activated with so much emotion that she's unable to go, sad. We just got this stuff that now has to be dealt with, and this is not your plan for the day. Shoot. And instead it's like, we don't have to do every word.
Yeah.
But I know that in reality I do have to do every word. I don't know if that's close. That's what we talked about, but it may not be accurate.
So so the first unprocessed emotion for me is probably fear that, and in this moment, it's almost like they swim together. Probably the whole entire wheel.
Yeah.
In that split moment, that split second moment, because the list of things to already do has been pretty long, and I already know there's been tension over all of that as far as, so it's like, oh, now's one more. And so probably just, I don't even know which one would come first. Fear that, here's one more. Don't know how. I've not been asking about the others because that doesn't go well. So I'm not bringing those up. And so now there's a new one, and that deadline is quicker than the others, but the others are waiting. And so then it's just like, so probably fear, just kind of instant fear of all the deadlines. And, so yeah, I'm sure that instead of just saying, I'm getting flooded with fear, here's another project that came in, it's got to be done by tomorrow, kind of thing, that I didn't say what was happening for me. And so that's probably, that's like you say, that's always where we get derailed, is when we don't slow down. And even to be able to say, I'm getting really dysregulated, not even sure what, give me a minute, and then to give myself that minute to go, I think it's fear. I think right now I'm getting hit with tons of fear because here's another big project and big deadline. And so, it's kind of those. And I know that in talking with lots of couples, there's those topics, right? Some people go, oh, finances, man, that big bill that just came in. Whew. And so that, it may be that, right? It may be over money, over sex, over the children, over, whatever. But something happens that there's a history there.
Yeah.
And then just kind of that, the dysregulation happens without even, like, I don't know that I was aware that I was getting dysregulated. I was like, okay, I was supposed to have been out the door that moment. And so I'm like, okay, stop all of that. I can be 2 hours late. I'm going to sit here at the table with him. I'm going to look at this. I'm going to go through the script. I'm going to look at my part. And so I'm thinking, but I'm not verbalizing, but I'm thinking, okay, we can do this. And then when I read my part and I got to one sentence that I was like, ooh, this does not sound like us. It's like I thought, okay, I'm still, got the energy, but it's like, again, if I'd have slowed myself down at the very moment and been like, ooh, the danger, beware, this is a good one. This is one of those that could really affect us in a big way. I didn't. I rushed into the project. I'm like, okay, I won't say anything and I'll just be late, 2 hours late, but that's going to be okay, And then I just went right towards the project thinking, I'm here.
I have fear about saying this.
Oh, please do.
Okay. I think that you did that, and because even that supports your identity. You get stuff done.
Mm-hmm.
You've been told that. I've heard it said to you thousands of times. I've witnessed it. You are someone who sees something and you just get it done. And so that is a part of your identity, whether you want it to be or not. I don't actually know. And so for you to get a project, you're not even looking at the truth of the day of what that means for Glenn. You're going straight. My identity is that I get this done, period. And so even in your response to that, You put the truth as like we did, we were seeking the identity of I'm someone, give me this thing, put it on my plate, I'll get it done. No big deal. And so then I don't know, like I find this right now to be fascinating that even those moments, your response to it was speaking into like who you've been told that you are.
Yeah.
And so it's easy. You're just going to set that fear aside. You've not tuned into fear when it comes to your projects. And I witness this from you all the time. Earlier today, you were trying to take on a project from me and saying, no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take this off your out of love. And I'm sitting here thinking, Phyllis, fear needs to be firing for you right now because you're leaving in 3 days for Europe for over a month. And so I think that may be an area that you have tuned out the emotion of fear because your identity is I get things done. I am the workhorse, quote unquote. And so you don't tap into that. That fear is back there. It's trying to get your attention, but you've learned to ignore it. And I don't know if
that's really interesting because I feel like I love even the analogy that I'm the workhorse, and immediately I am visualizing a really, really old workhorse in a field that barely can move anymore because I don't want that anymore.
Yeah.
I don't have the energy.
Yeah.
Just the Europe trip, I've processed this with so many people. I cannot even book a hotel. I'm so paralyzed with fear of making the wrong choice and not finding the best place or the best one or the cheapest one or the best quality for the best price. It's like, wow, that I used to be on it. And now I just feel like I'm an old horse out in a pasture somewhere where it's like, and I'm okay with being that old horse out in that pasture. Like, let me just be out in that pasture. I just want to be out in the pasture. But I think you're right that there's this identity piece to it where I'm like, well, I'm known for that. And so let me take something off of you that's a task that surely I can fit in over the next 3 days. I can do one more task, I can get that off of you because you already have so much. And yeah, I think that you're right. I've definitely I've numbed myself to that, or I've tuned out just my pain level of so much stuff.
Did you say that part again?
I've tuned out my pain level of so much stuff.
Because that was my question, because I wanted to ask you if I could guess something. Yesterday when that email comes in, is it okay if I guess?
Sure.
Dangerous to conjecture another human's experience. I think you get that email, you instantly feel pain.
Yeah.
But you block that so proficiently. I always think of Karate Kid, you just, what was it, wax on, wax off. It's just blocking Mr. Miyagi. You block that pain. As Tyra said, just like earlier, you're like, oh, I'll do this task. I'll take it off of your plate and put it on my workhorse plate. And of course, Tyra adores you. So Tyra's like, wait, what? That's a terrible idea. I don't want to. Would it bless Tyra? I mean, I guess, sort of, yeah. But no. That's a responsibility, a burden. It's a pain. It's a sad, it's heavy to put that on you. And so when that email comes in yesterday, you block the pain, and then I think you block the fear. And so you're not aware of all that happening for you. And then you end up being that overworked workhorse because you are powerful.
Yeah. Even you saying you're paralyzed in fear because you got to find the best hotel deal and the best and all of that. I also hear that as an identity for you because you are someone who plans your stuff and you're known for getting great deals.
Yeah.
And so just like when I was a little girl and I was told that I was a dumb blonde at home and I'm going to fill that role and I'm going to be the best dumb blonde that makes everybody laugh to my own detriment.
Wow.
That these identities that have been given to you as the workhorse, as the saver of the group, as the crafty one, those identities are working at this point in your life against who Phyllis is actually becoming, who you actually like are, desire to be, need to be in this season. But those old identities are still there because we speak them over you all the time, myself included. And I don't call you a workhorse, just to be clear to our audience. I've never used that. Because it's an identity for you. Your brain has tuned out the pain. You've tuned out, just like I tuned out the pain of being called a dumb blonde growing up. Okay, we're all laughing. We're all good. I can tune that pain out to make people laugh. You're tuning your own pain out to get the thing done in front of you, to accomplish the goal, because we give you attention in that. And man, I want to give you attention about everything else.
Yeah.
And so I find these things fascinating in thinking about our audience and like what identities they have on themselves that is creating that they've tuned out their pain. They've tuned out their fear to fill in this role of who they think that they're supposed to be. And not even like helpful, not even the truth of who they need to be in this season. Am I losing?
Yeah, no. And I think sometimes it's even acknowledging that the seasons change.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like I don't have to be that person anymore.
No.
Like it's okay to go, yeah, I don't have that anymore. You know, and I think Glenn in the last week, he said, because I was telling him I'm really having a hard time just pushing the button on, you know, booking the flight of between cities in Europe. And it's real complicated. It's different than the States. There's so many more things to work through and to answer, and so I don't want to get it wrong, or you just have to figure it out. And so then he just asked me, like, have you always had this fear, or have you always, you know, felt this way or whatever? And I don't know, but maybe I did all these things early on in life just because I thought I had to, right? I don't know. There's, you know, I would love for there to be a whole lot of curiosity I would love for Glenn to be really curious about, because sometimes it's like quick jump to conclusions or defend who he was back in those days. And so it's like, I think then I just back off. Then I stop being curious about myself, or being curious about who I am now, or who I'm allowed to be now, or who do I even want to be now? Like, there's something that sometimes I end the day going, there's something definitely off here. Like and you know, I think, what am I allowed to be in this season or the next season? Even that, like, where am I allowed to show up? But where am I also allowed to go, no, I don't have the capacity for that.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Like, 30 years ago, you know, the last time we ran around Europe, I was 30 years younger, and I had no fears of jumping on and off trains. Well, now I do 30 years later. And, you know, so that's okay. Like, to be able to go, oh, yeah, that's, of course, you change in your seasons, right? And I hear what you're saying, that I do jump in and I go, well, there's no choice here. We have to get it done. So just sit here and get it done.
Yeah.
Plow through it. And, because I've always been a plow through it person.
Yeah.
And doesn't matter how exhausted you are on the other side, you just plow through it.
Yeah.
And
that has come to your detriment.
Yeah.
Your body has paid the price for it.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. And, you know, I don't even know, you know, there's so many things sometimes when I see people, I'm like, oh, I could not even imagine living that life, or couldn't imagine sitting on the couch all day and reading a book. Like, I just can't imagine, you know, like there's just things that I go, really? Do people really do that? And I'm constant motion, but I wonder how much of that is that I want to be constant motion, or I feel too much guilt and shame to stop being constant motion. Yeah. So I'm constant motion.
Because that's what you've been told you are.
Constant motion.
Constant motion. And so that to stop being that is an identity loss.
Yeah. And that's really scary. Like,
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with that.
I think so many of our listeners are relating to what you're saying. And we talk a lot about, you said seasons change. So I think about people that have become empty nesters this year, people that are retiring. My mom is thinking about retiring in the next bit. And there's so much fear in that. Sorry, Mom, I'm blowing you up here, sharing your fear. You're not alone. Anybody that's thinking about retiring, I'm sure there's fear there. Because it is not just a shift in our role, but it is an identity. There's an identity attached to that role of who we are. And so I can see very much of how in that moment for you yesterday in this conflict, that part of it, that's what your identity part looked like. You're stepping into the identity of who you've been told you are. And even in that, what I can see from a completely pure heart, totally unintentional, you're wanting to put that identity on Glenn of like, no, Glenn, you can do this. You can be this workhorse with me, or you can like be this thing. And so for Glenn, because I relate so much to what you said of, I just needed you to acknowledge like, oh, sad. You had a whole day planned and now that's gone. Because then that is a validating your experience. And so that is where the identity piece came for you, is the not being seen in what you had. Like, does my life even matter? Do you even know that I had something going on? Do you even care that I had things going on? And so just that acknowledgement of, you had a whole day planned and now it's gone. That those words alone, what would happen for you if those words are said?
Yeah. I mean, at one point we talked about that some, and I just started weeping. I always remember that, and it just washed over me. When she recognized that and realized that, oh, this throws the whole day. Yeah. That's pretty huge.
I think back to times, and I've heard this with some of coaching clients that I've worked with, and mine and Wes's relationship. Our big miss for years was an identity loss of I just wanted him to acknowledge how lonely I was. He was traveling all the time because that's how we supported our family. Like he was doing it from such a good place, but I was so lonely. And all I wanted was for him to acknowledge, T, I know this is hard for you. I know you're lonely.
Yeah.
That's not fixing anything. That's not changing the circumstances, but it was seeing me. And I think that we have fear if we're pointing out, quote unquote, a negative thing. They're like, I don't want to remind Glenn that all of his plans are canceled now. Like, I don't want to remind Tira that she's lonely. I don't want to tell Tira she's lonely. But in reality, because we think that's going to make it worse. If Wes actually says, Tira, I know this is hard. I know this is lonely. I feel like in us, we think, oh, that's going to make their loneliness grow. Like we're lighting a fire to it. When in reality, it's just, it's being seen. So I want our listeners to think about that. If you have a wife that's pregnant right now, don't just tell her how beautiful she's like, babe, I know it hurts. Like, I know you're in pain. You are not going to make her pain worse by acknowledging that she is hurting.
Which for most people, they probably don't believe that that's true.
Yeah.
Regardless of the great Tira said it. They don't believe it's true.
So how can we bridge that gap? Like, how can we help people see that the acknowledgement of the emotion?
Yeah, one of the things I tell people is try it for 30 days.
Okay, there you
go. The cool thing is it won't give you cancer. It won't eat up your liver. Just try it for 30 days and watch the difference. And, of course, as we've traveled, we hear, especially from like teenagers, especially if we're doing a multi-day, conference, and this family comes, and then the next day, the 16-year-old daughter goes, my mom moved me last night. It's the first time I've ever felt heard by her. And this mom, who's precious and kind and good and beautiful and wonderful, has been trying to validate this daughter for 12 years and constantly telling her, oh, that boy doesn't like you at school. Well, he's probably an idiot anyway. Boys are jerks and he's awful. And dealing with the logistics and not recognizing, oh, sad. wow, I hear your pain. Yuck. That's because, as you say, the mom's probably thinking, well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to, support the hurt. I don't want to stoke up the hurt because then it's more hurt. But it's not. It's the opposite. So I would just say to our community, try it for 30 days. See what happens. And the people around you will think you've been abducted by aliens because they've never heard you be present with them. Not from a bad heart. I'm not judging people's intentions. But what people are used to is always having their energy resisted. And when you ooh them and are present with them, they're like, whoa, it was certainly different. And I would suggest better.
Yeah. And that is simply just acknowledging someone else's experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's not resisting their experience and telling them, how beautiful pregnancy is, or, your mom lived a wonderful life. It's like, ooh, I know this is hard. Like I can't imagine, this is difficult. It's like, ooh, babe, I imagine that's painful.
Yeah.
That's where we get the identity
Mm-hmm.
from. And so to acknowledge like, oh, your day has been completely destroyed. Sad. I know that's sad. And then after give space to process, how can I partner with you? Or what do you need?
Yeah.
And then also, in Phyllis's example of just for you to get curious about yourself with your own identity of, I'm in this shift of I've been this workhorse. I've been this crafty, saving person all these years. Ooh, what happens for me in that? What's happening for me right now when people are putting logistics and putting tasks on you? And so I think that's where we always talk about the curiosity piece too, with ourselves and with each other is everything. And it really does just go back. The identity, whether it's what we see ourselves to be or how we speak into others, is the foundation. I mean, it is the foundation of how we show up in the world and where we seek our quote unquote truth.
Yeah, I just want to throw in there because you mentioned that scenario when Wes is traveling, you feel lonely, and I'd have to ask Wes to know, but probably if you mention you're lonely, he feels guilt.
Flooded.
And so he has, he feels attacked. I don't believe you're attacking him. He feels attacked. When we feel attacked, we defend. Well, he has to defend. You're not lonely because he's a cold-hearted jerk.
Right.
And he just leaves you. Oh, he's going out drinking and he goes, golfing for 3 days with his buddies. No, wait, babe, I'm absent because I'm providing revenue for our family. And so that would be my guess, that he experiences that accusation, therefore he defends himself, because he feels guilt about it. And then what we call the cycle starts speeding up.
Absolutely.
And then becomes a cyclone. And the whole time, this human over here is just like, I just felt the pain of loneliness.
Yeah.
You were gone for 5 days. I felt lonely. I'm home with these little precious things that I like them, but they're also
monsters.
They wear me out. I mean, they're they just suck life out of me, both literally.
They were literally
and figuratively, emotionally. And so you have the right to experience that. And that doesn't mean Weston, he may shift something. It doesn't necessarily mean he needs to do anything different.
Yeah, I didn't even want him to,
Yeah.
And which is now why you'll hear me say Wes traveled a lot because he was working and he was providing for our family, because that gives him identity. So now Wes knows how to regard me. He knows how to acknowledge my loneliness or his absence, and where I'm like, oh yeah, you're going to fly with Sky for a whole day to Cincinnati? Go. Yes, please. Because I feel regarded by him, because I feel seen by him. And so I genuinely actually don't care anymore what he's doing when he's gone. It really, like you said, it doesn't change my experience, but I have no more pain of him flying in the sky with a friend or hanging out with a guy than I would if he was out making money in business, because I am regarded. And that, again, we've talked about the power of the loss of identity. That is the power of gaining identity, that safety that we have with each other. I know I exist to him. I know I have value. I know that I matter. And so that is it. And so for those that are listening and you're in partnership. I'm so glad that this episode we were able to just dive into this miss. Thank you both, Glenn and Phyllis, for sharing this miss that y'all had with each other, because that plays out in every not, I shouldn't say every, and I'll say every home at some point.
Somehow, yes.
And for some on a daily basis. On a daily basis, because if someone was listening in and you only shared the logistic of that, we got an email, you got to do this thing, it's not going to take long. That logistic for people, come on, guys, that's not that big of a deal. We say things like that all the time. But again, that's why logistics don't matter. Getting to the root, getting to the core to see that's a loss of identity for not one, but two people in that partnership. Now you can see how those cycles repeating themselves years after years after years create patterns of damage in your relationship. I'm so grateful anytime y'all are willing to share vulnerably, because it is so real and so easy to find ourselves in that space to show us what to do.
So we probably need to close with the wheel.
Yeah. Two things I want to say real quickly. Number one, I am convinced most misses are over very small things.
Yeah.
It's not because she went and spent $50,000 on the fur coat or something, or because he went and robbed a bank. Because we think of that a lot of times, that, oh, well, that's what harms relationships. Well, yeah, duh, but not really. It's the day-to-day small things. And then future podcast idea, I think it'd be the silliest and funnest podcast ever, is have Wes and Sky on here to talk about them flying.
Oh,
because they're both hilarious.
It was so fun.
And again, the silliest podcast ever. I don't know if it'd be very connection coach, but it'd be a fun podcast.
So where's the wheel? Do we have it?
Do you have your cup? Where's your Yeti?
No, I left it downstairs.
Yeah.
But I know the wheel.
Yeah, we're fairly familiar with it.
Can you go first?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'll just talk about the conflict yesterday. A lot of sadness. I hate missing with you. I hate being non-connected, non-united with you. There's always hurt if, what I experience so often is that what I'm doing is small. It's insignificant, and you don't know what my issue is, what my problem is, because I should just, breeze through this. And those sort of tasks, I believe, are significant anyway, and for me they're very significant. I'm a creative. It's very difficult for me to plow through quote unquote things. A lot of loneliness in that, because I know it's just up to me. I gotta do it. Sort of lonely getting all the European stuff done. Let's see if I'm keeping it about that. Fear. Okay, I can't think of anything. So fear about the Europe trip, because it's so long and so far away from home. And I've been feeling a good bit of fear, which surprised me, because I don't think I ever feel fear when we're traveling, not really. But I have felt some fear. We're going to be in so many different places. We have no idea what's coming up. If they're going to be good places or challenging places. Some shame in that, because I just want to be adaptable and just be happy and grateful and thankful, and no matter what the situation is. But I do like having a private bath. Thank you very much. I'm very spoiled in that. Let's see. Well, lots of guilt just over yesterday. I don't want to ever miss with you, and I just hate that. Anger, just getting stuff done. That's what always pushes me. So many of these things are so challenging for me, and I do look forward to having an assistant that can handle so many of these logistical things. I'm just not an implementer, and never have been, and I'm 63, so I'm not sure that ever will be, but it is the anger that just drives me through stuff. Tons of joy, just getting to be with you. Joy yesterday, just all the stuff that we're doing, even though so many of them are burdensome, which are pain experiences, sad experiences, but just knowing that what we're doing is really, really significant. It's pretty cool now. I mean, it's every day, getting messages around the world blows our minds. People are so affected by this. So just revolutionize, we hear the words transforms, revolutionizes, from other people, this is not us trying to sell it to them. This is them saying, wow, this changed everything in our marriage, in our family, in our relationships, in our life. And there's just a lot of joy.
What about shame?
That's me. I think I mentioned shame. Just, did I not? I'll have to rewind the tape. I'm sure I said shame. Well, just shame that I struggle doing all the stuff. I said shame about just that I feel fear about Europe and just the different places, and will we have a private bath? I hope none of our European hosts are listening, because I don't want them to feel overwhelmed about private bath. Maybe we'll delete that out. But,
probably not.
Yeah, probably not. But anyway, because I just want to be grateful.
Yeah.
I feel shame sometimes that there are times I feel high maintenance. I don't know that I am. Maybe I am. I don't know. But sometimes I feel that.
Hear you. Thank you. Yeah, tons of guilt that I missed with you yesterday. I've mentioned the anger multiple times, just anger that it's like, it feels to me a few seconds, and yet it affects hours and hours and hours. So, anger in that. Definitely felt a lot of pain yesterday. And then probably the hurt is just in it as well. Like, just felt, just a lot of just hurt in it. Lonely. I think those are times of lonely where, especially right this minute, it's like we don't have time to miss. We have too many deadlines, and those deadlines can't be moved back. We are leaving for Europe. We have a 5-week trip coming up, and it's like, man, a lot of joy that today was so good. Like, wish we had known yesterday how good today would be.
Wow.
As in, like if we just had that crystal ball yesterday to go, look how great tomorrow's going to be. Like all this today, we're just going to be on it tomorrow. And I felt that today. A lot of joy just being with Tira today, and getting so much done today. And fear, I would say yesterday the fear was just as in, are we going to reconnect? Because there's so much riding on all of this. But it felt like a mountain that I didn't have the energy to climb yesterday. So there was definitely fear there. And then if I project forward, yeah, definitely some fear in traveling for 5 weeks. And, but tons of joy in that as well. Tons of joy in what this is going to be and do. And just so many new connections in Europe that are all wanting to know more about the connection codes. So much joy in that.
Thank you. Thank you both for sharing.
Or I just have to say, just with your joy, I just kind of flooded into me. I think, oh my goodness, how many thousands, tens of thousands of people will be affected by what we do on this 5-week. That's pretty amazing. Over the next year, and of course that's our whole goal, is these little footholds. Wow. That's pretty cool.
I am so glad that we were able to dive deep into this conversation today, because again, I want our listeners to hear what repair looks like and what digging to the root looks like. Phyllis, I feel like I witnessed it. Do you feel like you had like a light bulb moment, or like I didn't even realize that was happening for me yesterday? Like, you learned something about yourself. Maybe.
Probably several, actually. Okay. And it's interesting, a few days ago, Laurel, it was probably in a text or in a voice memo that she encouraged while we were in Europe. She really hopes that I'll have like some slow time to really do some inward digging. And I didn't know exactly like, what am I digging for? And then today, I feel like what you said is so really important, like that identity piece for me to realize, am I holding on to something of the past that has been given to me, like that identity piece that, oh man, she's like, that tornado that comes in and just gets so much done. And then there's a lot of pain in that for me. And so I need to really slow down and go, first of all, it's not who I want to be anymore. And I don't even think I'm capable of being that anymore. And I don't think the world needs me to be that anymore. And I don't think I think I need to really dig into that some, just to go, that's scary. Like, if I let go of that, who am I? And will y'all love me? And will this community still love me if that's not who I am anymore?
Wow.
And so just to really sit with that. And so, yeah, there's been some light bulb moments for sure in this. So,
okay, I know we're going long, but if you got a ticket for $600 and you found out 4 days later that you could have gotten it for $480, what would have happened?
that's hard for me. There's a lot of pain in that for me.
Can I guess?
Sure.
Would you lose identity? Like, I'm not.
Oh yeah.
I'm not good enough. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, and my kids have been talking to me about this a lot lately. About that like they don't struggle with it. They're the opposite of me. And I really struggle, and they see the struggle like that and it's such an energy drainer.
Yeah.
Like, I spend way too much energy, like an insane amount of hours. It's trying to find the best deal. And it's exhausting. And it's like, wow. And I mean, even this past weekend, I went, instead of buying the stuff at Old Navy that I needed to buy, I went back, I came home without it to save money, $30 to go back the next morning and get it.
I'm sorry, you said 30,000?
No, $30.
$30.
Which I was so proud of. And Glenn was like, you're going to go back for $30? And then Summer came in from work and she goes, you didn't get it because you're going to go back for $30? And I'm like, I thought y'all would be proud of me. Like,
identity. That's
your identity. So like, yes, $30. And they were both like, oh my.
And not just $30, half price, wasn't it?
No, it was $30. I was going to gain $30 in this whole effort of going back. And I'm like, what in the heck?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then y'all just kind of took the air out of my balloon because
doing that speaks back your identity to yourself. Of I am that person.
Yeah.
And so I want to emphasize to people that right now you're in the cycle of just sweeping it under the rug because that's easier. We had this conversation in about 40 minutes and it went longer than it even probably needed to because I butted in too much, let's be honest. But at the same time, in working through it, in getting back to the root, in getting to the core of what both Phyllis was experiencing and what Glenn was experiencing, they were able to not only see each other, they were able to see themselves. And that is where transformation takes place.
Yeah, for sure.
That is where we actually can do things differently next time.
Yeah.
And so I just really encourage people that it's worth the effort. That doesn't mean it's easy the whole time. I mean, if you're watching on YouTube, you may have noticed early in the conversation, the tension started to build as the conversation started. Like, it's easy to feel that fear of where are we about to go with this? Or is this about to get worse before it gets better? But when you keep going and keep going from a place of curiosity, that is where we could see each other. And at the root of so many of our disconnects is identity.
So wait, you're saying this was being recorded? Oh my gosh, maybe you should have mentioned that, Tira.
Don't get me in trouble. Yes, this is all being recorded for all the humans to see. And so I thank y'all, and I want our community to know that connection is possible.
Yeah.
Giving identity to each other is possible. Changing your identity is possible. I believe that with everything in my bones. I have changed my identity so much since doing this work. Things that used to bring me shame, I may feel shame at like a 2 feet. instead of an 80 feet.
Right, yeah.
And things I used to believe about myself, I no longer believe about myself because I know how to get to my core, get to the root message that's been sent to me, and how to rewire that thought through processing, co-regulating. And so all of this is possible. We teach all of these skills and tools. Like, that's what we do. We teach how to do this. That doesn't mean we're perfect every single moment, because sometimes we go to Europe in 4 days and there's a lot on our plate and we're flooded and we miss because we're humans, just like you will, but we know how to get you back there using our tools. So if you haven't already downloaded our core emotion wheel, if you haven't tried any of our tools yet, they're available to you through the show notes. The core emotion wheel is the best place to start. It will get you introduced to your emotion and how to identify it in the moment. And then from there, we have a foundations class for marriage. We now have the School of Connection.
Wow.
Actually walks you through how to work through identity, learn your emotions, process, and connect deeply in relationships. So definitely go ahead and download that wheel. We are so honored you're here every single week. Please share this with your friends. If you have not left a 5-star review, go ahead, leave a 5-star. Give us that identity, please. You know, that we exist in your world and that we matter to you. Leave us that 5-star review. It genuinely helps us grow so much. And we do this because
you need this.
You deserve this. So let's do this.
Let's do this.